Growing up, I always had this nagging feeling that my house was incomplete. Not small, exactly. It was more like there was a piece missing, a room I could almost remember, but could never quite find. I used to brush it off as a kid's overactive imagination. You know how children are, always dreaming of hidden doorways behind bookcases and secret passages leading to magical worlds. I figured it was just that, a fantasy I'd eventually outgrow. But as the years went by, the feeling didn't fade. In fact, it grew stronger, and I started to realize it wasn't my imagination at all. The room was real. It just wasn't always there. It only ever appeared when I was completely alone in the house. I didn't notice it consciously at first. It began as a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The house would feel bigger. Not in a comforting way, but in an unsettling, expansive one. The hallway that connected the kitchen to the living room would seem to stretch just a little bit longer than it should. The texture of the air would change, becoming heavier, more charged. The silence wasn't just an absence of noise. It felt thick, like a physical presence pressing in on me. It was the kind of quiet that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. Then one afternoon, I was walking from the kitchen, a glass of water in my hand, and as I turned the corner into that hallway, I saw it, a door. It was perfectly ordinary, unremarkable in every way. It was made of the same dark wood as all the other doors in our house, with the same brass handle and the same white trim. But I had walked down this hallway thousands of times. I knew every scuff mark on the baseboards, every imperfection in the paint, and I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that this door had never been there before. I just froze, my hand still holding the glass. My heart started pounding against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the heavy silence. A primal part of my brain was screaming at me that this was wrong, that the door wasn't supposed to be there. But the longer I stared at it, a strange, conflicting feeling washed over me. It was a sense of familiarity, so powerful and deep it felt like a memory being unlocked. The door started to feel right, like it had always been there, and I was the one who had somehow forgotten it, that I was the one who was out of place. It was a dizzying, disorienting sensation. That first time, I didn't open it. I couldn't. I just slowly, deliberately, backed away, my eyes locked on the handle. I went back to the living room, sat down, and just breathed. I waited. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only 20 minutes before I heard the front door open and my mom's voice call out, "I'm home." The moment her voice cut through the silence, I felt a shift, like the air had suddenly become lighter. I got up, my legs feeling a little shaky, and walked back to the hallway. The door was gone. Not closed, not hidden behind some illusion. It was simply gone. The wall was smooth and uninterrupted, exactly as it had always been. It was as if it had never existed at all. Days went by, then weeks. I tried to convince myself it was a waking dream, a hallucination brought on by stress, or an empty house. I tried to push it to the back of my mind, but I couldn't forget. And every single time I found myself alone, every time the house fell into that profound, weighted, quiet, the feeling would return. The hallway would stretch, the air would thicken, and the door would reappear. Always in the exact same spot. Always looking like it belonged. Always just waiting for me. The curiosity was eating me alive. It was a constant, silent invitation. And eventually, one quiet Saturday afternoon, I gave in. I stood before it, my hand trembling as I reached out. The brass handle was cold, solid, and very, very real. I took a deep breath, turned the knob, and pushed the door open. The room inside was nothing. It was an absolute void. There was no furniture, no decorations, no windows to let in the light. Just for bare, featureless walls, a floor, and a ceiling. The air inside was completely still, so stagnant it felt ancient. It was like the room itself was holding its breath, waiting. There was no sound, not even the faint hum of the house that you don't notice until it's gone. This was a silence so complete, it was deafening. Cautiously, I took a step inside, then another. The floor felt solid beneath my feet. I walked to the center of the empty space, and the moment I crossed the threshold, the very second both of my feet were inside the room, I felt someone behind me. It wasn't a sound, it wasn't a touch, it was just a sudden, absolute knowledge of a presence. It was so close, standing right behind my shoulder, that I could almost feel the warmth radiating from it, the way you can feel someone's body heat when they stand too near. My blood ran cold, I couldn't breathe. Every muscle in my body tensed, preparing for, I don't know what. With a massive effort, I forced myself to turn around, expecting to see someone, something, standing there, but the doorway was gone. The wall behind me was as solid and blank as the other three. There was no door, no handle, no way out. There was just the room, and me, and the thing I could feel but couldn't see. Strangely, I didn't scream. The panic was there, a cold knot in my stomach, but it was overshadowed by a profound sense of inevitability. I didn't move. I just stood there, in the center of that impossible room, feeling the space around me hum with this unseen energy. Time seemed to lose all meaning. I don't know if I was in there for 5 minutes or 5 hours. The concept of time just didn't apply in that place. It felt like I was standing outside of it, in a pocket of stillness. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, I blinked, and I was back in my hallway. The door was closed behind me, solid and real. The afternoon sun was streaming through the living room window, casting long shadows. The house was filled with its normal, familiar sounds again. The spell was broken. I didn't dare touch the handle. I didn't look back. I just walked away. I didn't open it again. I didn't need to. Because in that timeless moment, I understood what the room was. It's not a place. It's not a part of the house. It's a mirror. A space that only manifests when you are utterly and completely alone, so it can show you the one thing that has been with you all along. And now, whenever I am alone, truly alone now, feel it again. That silent presence, standing just behind me, quiet, patient, waiting. It's not trying to harm me. It's not menacing. It's just there. A constant companion in the solitude. It's there to make sure I never forget the truth I learned in that room. I was never really alone to begin with. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have ever experienced something you can't explain, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more strange stories. Stay safe, and see you next time.